All right, good evening, my downline darlings. How are you faring this evening? I think some of you are still sleeping. How are you faring? All right then, let us be giving you some information at the moment on the idea that has been called in my world the 5 levels of mastery. This is a process, this is a training, this is a system that has been developed over hundreds of years of your counting, us being upline 700 of your years. That which you call your future on your own world, and me being in the Emerald Isle. The idea of the 5 levels of mastery involves the training that allows an initiate to become that which is known as a cryptic, a nocturnal, a shapeshifter, a sage, and finally, should one be kenning to go in that direction, a wraith. The idea is represented by different symbols, and we will be explaining what each level may mean. The first level of the cryptic is represented by the symbol of a triangle, which represents the idea of the earth, and the cryptic's training will allow the being to make the connections necessary to ground oneself in the earth plane. For you see, getting in touch and learning to communicate with the trees, with the rocks, with the animals, with the sea and the sky, and all these things of your physical reality will allow you to remain grounded when dealing with the other levels. If you did not go through the phase of becoming a cryptic, which allows you to understand how to communicate with those things of your own reality, of your own world, before you go shooting off into other dimensions, then it would be like a strong wind rushing at you and you having no roots. It would overturn you and uproot you. So by grounding yourself and having deep roots, you stay firm and connected to the earth while you're out exploring the ideas later on in the other levels of other dimensions and other energies and parallel realities. So the idea of the cryptic is to form an ability to communicate and commune with all these life forms on your planet, to really anchor yourself into the physical reality and become truly expressive as a part of nature, so that you can extend your senses and hear the stories of the trees and the stories of the brooks and the stories of the rocks and the stories of the birds and all these things that form a rich tapestry of the world as you may know it. Going through that training will involve many different kinds of things, including the idea of the use of a substance that we have termed divinorum. Now the idea is it opens up your senses and allows you to really begin to relate to these other life forms by allowing it to be a little bit easier to shift your frequency. It is specially designed and brewed by divinorum masters. My master being that you know as a Sasquatch named of Argus. And in taking the divinorum and opening up those realms and those windows to the nature of nature, you allow yourself to connect not only with the trees and the rocks and the birds and the bees, but also with those beings you would call the elementals, which we will be talking about tomorrow of your time. But the idea is that in coming to your world 700 years ago, from my perspective, downline we call it, the idea is that the hybrids with their extended senses began to perceive that there were these elemental beings that many humans could not see, and we began to develop relationships with them, and in developing those relationships, they taught us many things about how to connect to nature in similar ways to them, how to understand that we were part of nature, as you all are. When you then go beyond the level of the cryptic and you begin your journey into the level called the nocturnal, the idea is now you have established and grounded yourself in this one reality, or what you consider to be one reality. Of course, many of you now know it is a series of parallels, but we are now talking about the idea of the timeline that you consider to be your own. But when you go beyond that and you have connected to that, you can begin to explore the idea and sense the idea of other parallel realities that coexist simultaneously with you all. In exploring those parallel realities and becoming a nocturnal and understanding the secrets of the night and those that reveal themselves in the cool moonlight, you begin to pick up information and knowledge about different parallel realities, different parallel reality versions even of yourselves. And you can call upon that information in those parallel worlds, and you can download it into your world and apply it in your reality. It is a rich tapestry of information that you can call upon when you arrive on the level of the nocturnal. Now, going from that level of recognizing the idea of your connection to nature in terms of the parallel realities and the information that you're able to download with those awarenesses and those connections, you can move to the next level in your training, which is the shapeshifter. Something that people on your planet don't quite understand, even though you may know the concept of the shapeshifter, is that there is actually no shifting of your shape in terms of the idea of chemistry and molecules and things like that. That's not the way it works. Once you have established as a nocturnal some connection to these parallel realities and different versions of your own being, the shapeshifter has then developed the opportunity and the ability to call upon those shapes of alternate selves and alternate presentations from parallel realities and create the presentment of them in their own reality. They are not actually in any way, shape, or form altering their own molecular structure per se, but they are taking on the persona to the degree that they need to of other parallel versions of their own being and presenting those to those who are in the reality in which they are anchored. So they are really becoming a literal reflection of different parallel reality individuals. And that is why they can also take the shapes of the trees and the rocks and the birds and the bees, because again, they are just different angles of different reflections of us all. Moving on to the idea then from shape-shifting to the sage. Now the sage can not only call upon the idea of changing their own identity and presenting it to those around them in the way of the shapeshifter, but can actually call upon the reality itself and change the reality around them to be representative of another parallel reality to the degree that others can sense this and perceive and experience this. And you would call this wizardry and witchcraft and magic, but it is simply the idea of identifying so strongly with another parallel reality that they can allow others to match a frequency very easily where they can actually see that parallel reality and so appear to be conjuring objects, changing physical objects within their reality. But no such thing is going on in the way that you typically think of it. It is again that they are allowing an object that already exists simultaneously, right here, right now, from another parallel reality to appear before your eyes and take the place of what was there before in the reality that you're used to. When you go from the sage into the level of the wraith, which sometimes can be quite challenging for many individuals, and very, very few people will do this. It is a very rare thing for those sages to become wraiths. For there are different kinds of ideas that can occur, that can happen, that can take you a little bit off course and be very challenging. But those that can understand how to achieve the balance between the sage and the wraith will understand that now they have tapped in to all these parallel realities that you would consider to be physical in a similar manner to your own, are now stretching and bridging themselves between the physical and the non-physical, between the world of matter and the world of spirit. And they can actually cause changes in the spiritual reality that can appear in certain ways upon the earth and can function very similarly to the idea of what the Bashar has described of his world in terms of actually being quasi-physical, bridging those two realities and exhibiting many of the attributes of spirit while still remaining connected to the physical realm. They can make adjustments in the template level reality that exists in the spirit realm and cause great changes to occur in the physical world around them and in many other parallel realities. They can extend their abilities into other parallel realities, visit those other parallel realities, cause changes in those other parallel realities in addition to their own, because now they are coming from the level of spirit that bridges all of those parallel realities. So these are the 5 levels of mastery. And as we said, the first level, the cryptics, is represented by the idea of the triangle, which represents the earth. Then you have the idea of the nocturnal, which is represented by a wavy line, which represents the sea. Then you have the idea of the shapeshifter, which is represented by an arch, or an arc, as you may term it, which represents the sky and the changing weather patterns. Then you have the idea of the sage, which is represented by the idea of the circle, or space as you would have it, the void, out of which all things come. Then you have the idea of the wraith, which is represented by the dot, which is the idea of the center and source, which is spirit. So you have the earth, and you have the sea, and you have the sky, and you have space, and you have spirit. And those are the 5 symbols that represent the different levels, the 5 levels of mastery. Are you all somewhat kenning what we are saying to you? Yeah. All right. Now, there will be, at the end of the transmission, the idea during your holotrope meditation of a meditation that will help take you through some of the idea of crystallizing this concept of the 5 levels within you. We didn't expect all of you to become masters tonight, but we understand that we can plant the seed within you so that you may decide for yourselves which ideas will work best for you and how to initiate yourselves and become your own apprentice to begin to grow this seed. Begin to find a way and a path that works for you in your own mastery of self and in your connection to your own nature and your connection to the infinite. So if you will be joining us on that journey, we will be very happy to begin your initiation that way during your holotrope meditation, taking you through those 5 levels on a cursory level. So be it, but nevertheless planting that seed that you can water and you can grow by shining the light of your own inner light upon it. Now then, we will, as has been suggested, sort of, as you say in your language downline, hang around with you for a little while, and we will be answering some of your questions and having dialogues with you if you wish. So if you would, you may begin to do that.
I want to connect with Bashar and then Willa for a second. I have a question for Bashar.
Yes, that's who I am. So ask your question if you wish.
We are talking about acting on our highest excitement.
Oh, were we talking about that again?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
And so?
My question is, what if I feel like I'm living in simultaneous parallel universes and like see myself in different versions of myself already living at the same time, and sometimes it's like hard to act on one.
You may simply be
one
in
kind of
you may simply be in a collection process,
it's
gathering information from different parallel realities, so that you can consolidate and synthesize that information in order to move forward in this reality in the way that you prefer to. It's part of the process to gather information from other versions of yourself.
So I have this website, I'm blogging on Quantum Leap Journey, and I literally feel like I'm on Quantum Leap journeying here in this world, and sometimes I don't even understand what I'm doing. I'm just being guided to different places.
Yes.
And meeting like people who I've been like blogging about, or like, you know, whistleblowers or people from government. It's just crazy stuff like happening. I'm just being dropped on like high energetic
You say that like it's a bad thing.
It's very exciting thing. It's just so, I feel like so pent up with energy, buzzing all over my like third eye. I like literally feel like I'm gonna take off as a rocket.
All right. Well, again, that's exciting.
That is very exciting. At the same time, I feel like I really want to ground those energies to be of more support to other people.
In what way then would you like to ground them? What permission slip do you create for yourself that would, in your mind, act as a grounding agent?
So stop for a while and just be able to
then
integrate
do so.
it. But at the same time, I feel like I need to be pursuing something and I'm being guided to different locations.
Stop.
I stopped.
Taking time is pursuing something. Your definition is skewed. You are making it appear by your definition that taking time isn't part of the process, isn't part of moving forward, when it is. You have to go in cycles, or you won't be able to use the information. You'll become overwhelmed, as you're beginning to sound like. You need to understand that taking time to absorb the information and ground the information is part of moving forward. You are pursuing something by stopping and taking the time to absorb what you've learned. That's part of moving forward. That's part of pursuing.
So I literally feel like there is like constant energy charge and
of
like
course
electrical
there is.
kind of charge running through my body.
Of
all
course
the time.
there is, but you can use the charge in a variety of ways. Just because there's a charge doesn't mean you can't use it to relax. You just have to allow it to shift into the different forms of the energy that are then available to you to do different things with when you need to do different things. You don't have to assume that the charge has to be experienced the same way all the time. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't mean it's not there just because it feels different. It can transform in different ways. Remember, as we have said, acting on your highest excitement doesn't mean you have to be jumping up and down all the time and running around with your hair on fire.
Well,
Being in
like
am I done?
No, pursue.
Being in a state of balanced meditative peace can also be an expression of your highest excitement. You have to let your definition change in a way that allows for different states to be still representative of acting on your excitement instead of having such a limited definition of how you think you need to experience it. That's what needs to change within you, is your definition of what you think the experience is supposed to be like. Do you understand?
Yes.
Can you do that?
Yes, I can.
Then that is what will ground you.
Okay, yeah.
Along with, it might be a good suggestion as a permission slip to find some sites that are more natural, like forests of trees, and start walking among them. That would be another way, another permission slip that might work well for you to ground yourself. And as you accelerate, to slow yourself down so that the acceleration can actually be experienced in the way that it needs to, that makes sense for you. So take a walk among some trees. That will help you.
Yeah, I know, that hits home.
All right.
Okay. I've got another question.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm making like story out of it, but I've been like different healing modalities, and I feel like I studied it all and I heard it all. Sometimes it's just we have all the knowledge, but we don't integrate it the way we should, just to bring it to third dimensional reality. And
you're still spinning your wheels.
In my
down.
mind. Yeah,
Slow down.
So
the paradox that you don't understand is that when you actually slow down, you'll go faster.
Yeah. And I know that, actually.
Then act like you know it. It can't just be lip service. You can't just talk about it and say that I know it. Knowing is in the behavior. If you're not behaving like you know it, you don't know it. You're just talking about it. So it needs to be in your behavior to demonstrate that it's actually knowledge. Because what you know to be true, you do. If you're not doing it, you don't know it. So put it in your behavior, and that will be the expression that lets you know that you know. And by the way, again, paradoxically, in addition to knowing that you know it, It's all right to simultaneously know that you know nothing.
That's
Because
the
you are
ultimate.
just at the beginning and always will be. Always will be. And therefore that means you are also always at the end. And that's what finds you in the center. So be in the center by knowing what you know and knowing you know nothing. And let it be all right for it to play itself out in the way that it needs to. You need to trust the way you unfold and relax into it and not overthink it and not spin your wheels, for that will take you nowhere.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
I've got a quick question connected to soul's contract. Like, is it like, do we make like our own kind of meaning out of that? Like, or we all have like divine kind of gifts and soul's
Of course
contract
you
that
do.
we are being awakened to?
Of course you do. You make your agreements, but not all the agreements are necessarily very specific. Sometimes they will be general, and you will accept a number of different ways in which the agreement could be fulfilled. It doesn't always have to be set out in a very specific way ahead of time. But you all have your relations, you all have your agreements. It's all an orchestration that you've agreed to play. So, yes, but they'll all unfold in perfect timing if you just move forward in the way that's truly natural for you. Yes?
Yes, that's perfect.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's it.
Can I speak to Willa very fast?
Very fast.
Okay, very cool. Thank you
One
so
moment.
much. Cheers.
You have something to say then to us?
Cheers, Willa. How are you keeping? I came from Ireland, actually. I lived in Ireland for the last 8 years and was guided to be in the States. And
Yes,
I
well,
moved
we were
here
born there in Port Dublin.
And I actually lived in, like, Port Dublin, like 5
No,
minutes
you
away.
lived in Dublin.
In Dublin, like, at the seaside.
We lived in Port Dublin.
Okay.
Because remember that in our time, the sea levels have risen, and Dublin is now a port.
Oh, that's
in a very different way than it exists downline in your time.
Okay, so I've got a question. What is my connection with Willa, and
With
what
me?
what brought me like with you? Yeah, like to this place at this certain time. That I needed to move from Ireland and be at certain location in here. And
Well, you're
at these
functioning as a
circumstances.
gatherer, dear. A gatherer. You're traveling around with your basket, picking up the things that you need so that you can go
feels
back
like
to
it.
where you need to be, having gathered all the things you need so that you can do what you need to do. Right now, you're out gathering. This is a natural thing. So have fun with the gathering. Carry your basket. Hold it proud and put all the things in it that you need. Gathering is part of the process. It's a fun part because you're exploring. You're finding, you're discovering. You're gathering.
Yeah, it's been quite a crazy journey in here for me. I feel like
Well, crazy is a good thing, dear.
I'm putting so much to this basket every day. It's like I feel like I lived like 300 years in like the
All
last
right,
3 months.
but darling, you're doing too much of this
Okay.
and not enough of this. Just relax into yourself, dear. Relax and be one of the things that you gather in your basket. Carry yourself around. You deserve a little break. Take a break. It's all right. All right?
I think that's my ultimate answer, actually.
Take a
And
break.
I think it's an answer for many people in here because we keep on pursuing something all the time.
Yeah, but don't worry about them.
Okay.
Focus on yourself. Take a break.
Okay.
You need a break. So take it. All right?
Yeah, well,
And it might be worthy also to take a vacation from the you that you've been, so that after the vacation, you can be someone else that's more like you, the real you. Does that sound like a plan? Does that sound like fun then?
yeah, very much so. Yeah.
All right,
It's
then
just I don't want like anything else, just to drop into the authenticity of myself.
stop doing so much of this, dear. You talk a little too much.
I do. Yeah, I know.
All
I
right.
love talking.
Get on with you then.
Okay, thank
And
you
have
so
a good time.
much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. 'Tis our pleasure.
Hi, Willa.
Good evening to you, dear.
I've enjoyed meeting you and hearing about the things you're sharing.
Why,
but
thank you.
I'd actually like to chat with Bashar because I have some things to discuss with him.
It'll be our pleasure, dear.
Thank you so much.
If you'd give a moment, then.
Absolutely.
All right. And good day to you.
Hi, Bashar. I wanted to share some things. Thanks to your guidance, I've been following my excitement now for 20 years. And
Not all the time you haven't,
No.
but we understand what you
Yes,
mean.
most of the time. And my organization, Create Now, is thriving and doing much better, actually. And
All right.
And I've been getting a lot of recognition and accolades. In fact, recently I just gave a TED Talk, and
All right, dear, why are you telling us this?
Because
Will is listening in here, so you're going to hear a blend, because there's something here for you from her and from me.
wonderful. I'm glad. I would love to hear what you have to say, because what's interesting is I've been dealt these choices of going back to my past of working on exciting film productions around the world.
Would you hold it right there for a moment?
Okay,
She wants to come through more fully and share an idea with you.
wonderful.
Now, I have something to say to you, darling.
Great.
You understand?
Absolutely.
Is it all right if I talk plain to you?
Please.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I'm going to give you a phrase that my mentor taught me. This comes from Holly Cotton herself. It's not meant in any way, shape, or form to be negative. So take it in the way that it is meant.
Okay.
Are you willing?
Absolutely, I am.
You can't move forward by patting yourself on the back.
Okay, well, my question about it was,
You're not paying attention, dear.
okay, I understand, and when I seem to be patting myself on my back, I'm also expressing frustration that I'm not getting the abundance or financial support that I feel I need.
In other words, your expectations.
Yes.
And your insistence and your assumptions, which you know is not part of the formula that the Bashar has given you.
Yes, that's true.
I know. According to Bashar, that's why he said that. Because it's true. Give us a moment then, would you, dear?
I will.
What will it take in your mind so that we can work together on this to drop that insistence so that you don't experience the frustration? Because that's what it's coming from. You really need to wrap your mind around the third part of the equation and know that the support can come in many different ways, and that can be okay, and that you don't have to have such a frozen insistence on the way that you think it should manifest in order for success to be there. Success can come in many forms, and as we have often said to many of you, if at first you don't succeed, redefine success. Because many of you have different expressions that would be representative of the success for who you actually need to be, rather than who you think you need to be. Which is where you're rattling back and forth between who you think you need to be and who you actually need to be. So you need to spend a little more focus on the idea of dropping that insistence so that you will not experience the frustration that you're talking about. Because it is only that insistence that is creating it, and only the idea of those beliefs that it should happen a certain way that is creating it. You understand?
Yes.
What will it take to drop that insistence in you?
I suppose it would be continued trust in the process.
And why would you stop trusting that? What
Fear.
reasons do you give? And what are you afraid of?
Lack of security or support.
And so why are you trusting in lack?
That's a good point.
Thank you. Do you have a good answer?
Um,
You don't have to give it now, but that's the question. Why do you trust in lack when it doesn't serve you to do so? Because, as we have said, and you know, and we know you know, there is no such thing as a lack of trust. There is only a trust in lack. So, take yourself on a journey that allows you to explore why you would put your trust in lack instead of what you prefer to. Work on that definition specifically. And many different kinds of things will open up for you. And understand that when we say many different kinds of things will open up, you can't, again, put conditions on what that means in the way you think you want it to be. You have to allow it to be what it needs to be to actually serve you. But you know you've already had experiences in life that when you choose to do it that way, have opened up many different things that then flowed freely into your life in ways that you didn't imagine it would. You know that, yes?
Yes.
So you have to find within yourself why you're all right allowing it to work for you in some scenarios and not in others. You have to find out why you're making a difference between those scenarios in your definition of them and in your definition of your relationship to them. And that's your process in life. To gain more clarity on when you make a different definition in certain areas of your life that you don't make in others. Explore that, and it will be a very powerful key for you that will unlock you in a very, very powerful way. That's the most important thing as we read your energy that you need to focus on at this moment. All right?
Yes, thank you. Can I ask some other questions?
I don't know.
Okay, well, I will. I'm incredibly sensitive, and I've discussed this with you in the past, but it seems to be getting more intense to
Do you
sound.
not think we've just answered this question?
So the sensitivity to sound is related to this? Okay. And another question I have is, my nephew is addicted to drugs, and he depends on me, and I'm trying to not enable him, and at the same time, I am concerned and want to help him, but he seems to be stuck in a rut.
Then what can you do?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
Then what can you do? Let me ask the question this way, if it brings more clarity. If you discover in being all well and good that you provide whatever help you can and assistance you can, where you can, that being said, will you be all right if you discover that there's nothing you can do?
Yes.
Are you sure?
I have no choice.
Can you, if you find that there is nothing you can do, if the individual is not willing to open up to different ways in which they can know they are an empowered being, we assume you're sharing these kinds of informational bits with them to the best of your ability, but if they can't open up to that concept that they are an empowered being, then you have to know that even though they think that of themselves or feel that of themselves, that if you look deeper, you will know they are an indestructible soul. And that what they are experiencing now is only going to be an infinitesimal part of the greater journey that that being is on. And that you don't have to view them as disempowered because they are empowering themselves to experience disempowerment. Do you understand?
Yes.
It doesn't mean they cannot choose something else, but if they don't, being in a positive place within yourself when there is nothing else you can do to help someone is actually the most help you can give them, because you are seeing them as an indestructible soul that will ultimately be just fine, no matter what they're going through now. So you can come from a higher level of compassion in that way that will actually give them the best vibration possible to match, even if they don't choose to match it. But you have to arrive within yourself at a point where you recognize that there may not be anything else that you can do, that you have done your best. Yes?
Yes.
And please understand that even if it seems like there's nothing else you can do for them, what it is the situation and circumstance has allowed you to do may actually be for the purpose of giving that to someone else for whom it will work. And they may have trained you by their refusal to be helped to actually give you the ability to help someone else. Because they might be willing to change. And you will have developed the tools and the techniques and the conversations with this person who may not change in the way that you may require those tools and techniques and conversations for another person who will. And that brings you to the understanding that even this may be an orchestration for other people you have yet to meet. Is this making some sense to you?
Yes, it does.
Can it help you relax into the circumstance a little bit more easily?
I think it will. I think it allows me to realize I can't do anything else than what I'm doing, and I have to let go and let God. And
in a sense, you have to surrender to the control that's already there, that you already have, and not try to control it, but surrender to the control you already have. Yes?
Yes.
Does this help you?
It does. Thank you. And I just have one last question. Can you tell me how Adam, Ariel, and Adrian are doing?
They're doing fine, and that's all you're going to get right now.
Okay. Thank you so much, Bashar and Willa.
Thank you. And she says you're welcome as well.
Hello, Tadea.
I sensed you coming, Nania.
You did?
Yes.
Oh, that's so cool. Do we have time for a few questions from Ustream listeners?
We do.
Okay. The first one is, you mentioned that there are other ships besides your own position above Sedona around the Earth.
Yes.
So where are the others located and what is their purpose?
Again, like us, they are helping to adjust energy waves in certain vortices around your planet to aid and assist in easing the transformation and transitions that you are going through at this time, if you are willing to tap into the vibrational energy that we are flowing into those vortices, the grid of energy around your planet, to help balance out the transformational energy. Not only above Sedona, but above what you call Shasta, above what you call Haleakala, above what you call Fujiyama, above what you call Kilimanjaro, above what you call Everest, above what you call Chimborazo, above what you call many different areas on your planet. Yucatan, Glastonbury, Ayers Rock, one is directly above the Taj Mahal. One is above Crete. One is directly above the Eiffel Tower. One is directly above the White House. One is directly above the Kremlin. One is directly above Cairo. One is directly above the North Pole. One is directly above the South Pole. One is directly above the center of Mongolia. One is directly above Beijing. One is directly above Mexico City. One is directly above La Paz. One is directly above Black Rock. You call this the carved heads. You call it Mount Rushmore, but it is Black Rock. These are the ones of my society. There are hundreds more from other civilizations.
What other civilizations?
Some Pleiadian, some Sirius energy, some Yael, some other civilizations we will not go into at this time.
What is the race of our hybrid children called?
They are still deciding if they should have a name. For now, they are simply your children.
Do the children connect with the beings that are in the positions you're describing?
Sometimes, some of them, not all.
What would be the purpose of that connection for them?
The purpose would be germane to each child.
Right. Like what kinds of beneficial experiences?
If they wish to feel the vibration of a certain vortex on the earth to gain familiarity with the energy of the area that they might ultimately land in and live in, or at least visit, or practice in, acclimating to your society in.
Similar to us going and visiting a foreign land and being imbued with the vibration of that location.
Yes.
And so is there a way that we can act as conduits for the children to see through our eyes?
You can by being in those locational vortices and thinking of them and opening up to their arrival.
Yeah, and we can engage with them in playful ways.
Yes. It is up to you to use your imaginations in this and your permission slips.
But always wondered about that, like other beings, do they sometimes look through our eyes, especially if we're having...
In a manner of speaking. In other words, they match certain frequencies that give them the same perspectives that you have. That's what looking through your eyes means. It doesn't mean they're literally in your head looking through your physical eyes.
Yeah, it's more like if you come to a scene and something is so incredibly beautiful and you just want all of creation, I guess, to enjoy this amazing
And
thing
those that
you're
wish
seeing.
to tap into that vibration will, and they will have a similar perspective and a similar experience, of course, in their own terms.
I get the feeling it's almost like that's a natural component of creation.
It is.
That there are others that will enjoy the scene too, either, but it's not like they tap into your mind. I mean, how does
they
it
match your
work?
frequency.
And then they're seeing
Then they have
the
their own
same
version of the
thing
experience.
that
Yes.
you're seeing.
Well, not identical, but their own version.
Right.
It can be sometimes so similar you can't tell the difference, but sometimes it can be very different. But it's the experience they need to have of that.
Because basically it's a frequency of information that's coming to the person in a sense.
Yes.
And the other person
Because
will
everything is
see.
information.
Right. So the other person's mind will create a version of it, just like in a dream, where we translate experiences we're having on another level
Yes.
into symbols that we can understand here, but it's not a
Yes.
one-on-one necessarily.
Correct.
So, and that's very connecting to realize that when you're in a state where you're perceiving amazing, unique, beautiful things about Earth, that there are others that can share in that. And
Yes. And the children wish to remind all of you that everything is a symbol.
would you care to elaborate on that? You mean everything is, yes.
Everything
yes.
is a symbol.
Because it's all just energy.
A reflection.
Yeah.
That's all. Everything is a symbol.
Right. And that's why we're responsible for the dream that we're dreaming, right?
And symbols are a language. If you understand that everything is a symbol, you will understand how to speak the universal language.
But it's always about how you interpret the symbol that you're looking at.
Of course. But there is a universal component to it. That is the same for everyone, everywhere, every when.
Like?
It is the core vibration of all that is. That is always at the center of every symbol. And when you understand how to read the symbols that are your own reflections, you will understand how to tap into the universal language. And the universal language is the vibration that you call unconditional love.
Oh. Huh.
It is actually a language. It is a vibrational language. You can learn to actually speak it, in a sense. You can learn to express the universal language.
Just by understanding the symbols that you create in your reality and how to relate to them.
Yes, and tapping into the core of each symbol, which is the source.
Okay. The primary frequency of existence.
Yes.
So how that would relate to like seeing something beautiful and unique, that would put you in a high vibrational state when you're having that experience.
Yes,
and
but
then,
it doesn't put you in the state. You choose the state.
because of the way you're interpreting.
So that you can have the experience. Remember, it's the other way around. You have to be in the state to have the experience. I know that in your linear reality, sometimes it looks like the thing itself puts you in the state, but it doesn't really. You have to be in the state. You have to choose the state to have the experience, which can then reinforce the state, in a sense, by reflectivity. But you actually have to be in the state to have the experience. And it is that understanding that will transform and revolutionize your reality.
So the idea that we're kind of wired for a certain kind of beauty, like they did that kind of research where they saw that the human brain responds to certain kinds of patterns in a way that is experienced as perceiving beauty.
Yes, and that's just the beginning. You have just touched the surface of that.
So in
You
terms
have
of
no idea how deep the beauty goes yet.
because we're limited in how deeply we feel the connection with ourselves.
There is a saying that exists on your planet among some of your early physicists that went something like this with respect to the discipline known as quantum mechanics. The saying, to paraphrase, goes like this. If when you study quantum mechanics, if you are not utterly stunned and boggled, you didn't understand it. So the idea here is, and again, it doesn't always have to be expressed exactly literally this way, but you'll get the idea as a metaphor, at least. If you tap into the inexpressible love and beauty of creation, you would simply fall to your knees and burst out crying and laughing simultaneously. And that's when you know you get it. Because everything that you think is real will collapse into that moment, and you will finally understand what reality really is. How's that sound?
That sounds really good. I was just realizing that even if people have had that experience momentarily, let's say, that they may diminish it later by going, oh, it doesn't last, or,
Yes.
whatever. But what you're actually saying is that that is the frequency, and there's nothing worth more
Yes.
than
And
experiencing
it
that
always
frequency.
lasts in different forms because everything is made out of source. So even if it appears not to last, it is still lasting, but in a different form.
Right, right.
And again, when you wrap your mind around that and truly understand it and know it to be true, that's when you have the experience of allowing yourself to consciously orchestrate the way you use it and recognize it in all of its forms. Yes?
Yes, that's a much more positive way to interpret these kinds of ecstatic, amazing experiences, you know, to really be able to fully appreciate what you've been given.
Yes. It seems that you are approaching the timing for your holotope experience.
It does seem like that, doesn't it?
It does. Therefore, we will allow you to take a short break, after which Willa will take you through your holotope meditation for planting the seed of the 5 levels of mastery. Enjoy a short break. How's it going?
Yeah.
All right, let us say we will continue the transmission in the following way. But before we facilitate Willa for the meditation, we would like to expand a little bit on the transmission that she will be delivering tomorrow of your time, called the Winter Spirit. Because this idea will not only delve into the concept of nature spirits in general, but also specifically that there is a literal winter spirit, an elemental being that she will go into and describe to point out to you that that being historically is the beginning of what you understand for your Christmas season to be Santa Claus. So she will give you the history of this and how it evolved in the way that it has in your society, and explain to you the relationship that exists 700 of your years in the future to that being at that time. For it is very different than what you now experience during your holiday season. We will then now allow for the shift and the facilitation. Enjoy your meditation. Are y'all having a good time then?